Hello IED students. I'm going to be showing you a video here today for activity 225 where we're going to be making this heating tube that's part of the coffee maker. You can see it's basically a U-shape. There is a threaded ending down here. The top ending up here has kind of a slight taper to it, and the inside of it is shelled out. So it is hollow all the way through, which you would need obviously for the water to go through. So let's look at how we're going to do this. I do have a sketch that's already begun here, and so I'm going to get into sketch number 1. I have the drawing file put up here already so we can kind of easily look back at that. And the basic idea, I'm going to try and create a U-shaped line that sort of follows the center of this tube. On one end of the line, we're going to draw a circle, and we will sweep that circle along that shape. I'm not going to create the U-shaped line all the way through to the end where this is tapered. I'm going to start the U-shaped line right here and then take it all the way through, actually through the end of the threading here. So let's start this off. I will begin at the origin point. It's always good practice to do that. To include the origin point, the dimension of this is going to be 2.06. I see up the top. Take away the 1/4 inch of the taper. So that line right there is basically going straight through here. I'm going to next draw this horizontal line that is further below it. So I'm just going to come down here, draw this line out, make sure it's straight. It is supposed to be 2.31. And these two lines are supposed to be 1.95 inches apart. So I will dimension that. From here to here is 1.95. So that spaced them apart a little bit. Okay, next I'll try and create the arc out here. To do that, I'm going to use the 3-point arc tool right here, and I will click on that point, the bottom point, and I will drag this out until that blue center point just hits on that central line there, that vertical line. That gives me a perfect semicircle, and now I have the U-shape. So my next goal is to do this. I need to, on this point down here, I'm going to create a circle that is the size of this outer wall, this 0.375. So to do that, I need to have a plane that's kind of like this right plane, but it is slid over and goes just through that point. So I'm going to get my plane tool, I'll click on it, and what I found was doing a plane point works pretty well. I'm going to click on the right plane, that's kind of the direction of the plane I want, but I'm going to tell it to go through that point. And now it created plane number 1 there. Okay, so plane number 1 is going right through that point. I'm going to make a sketch on that plane, and I'm going to press my N key to turn and look directly at it, and I'm going to remember the circle I need is 0.375 inches. So this point down here is that bottom of the U. This point up here is the top of the U, is right there. So I'm going to create a circle down here on that bottom, and remember it was 0.375. I'm going to hit enter on that, and now if I turn it, you can see that circle that is sitting on the end. That's the shape that we're going to sweep. So I'm going to sweep that through using the sweep tool. Here's the sweep tool, and I'm going to say take that shape and then click on the sweep path and sweep along here, here, and here. And that creates the tube. So now I have the basic shaping of the tube. What we've got to do now is I'm going to create the tapered ending to it, and then we will shell it, and then we'll put that threading onto it. Okay, so this tapered ending comes out 1/4 inch horizontally, and the end of it is a little bit less, 0.33 inches compared to this 0.375. What I'm going to try and do is make just the top half, this little trapezoid, and then I will revolve it. So I'm going to get back into sketch number 1, and I'm going to try and draw this little trapezoid. This trapezoid starts right at that point, and it comes up. The height of this will be half of the diameter of that circle. So 0.375 cut in half. And it comes down to some point. I'm going to draw this just roughly what it looks like, and then we'll dimension it. Comes down to that point, and then straight down to hit this center line. And I'm going to complete it by drawing that over. Okay, now I've just got to put the right dimensioning in. So remember that this trapezoid shape came over 1/4 of an inch, so I will dimension that bottom line to be 1/4 of an inch. And the height of it out here was half of 0.33. So on my dimensioning tool, that is supposed to be 0.33 cut in half. Okay, finish that sketch. So now you can see at the end of this tube, and I'm going to go ahead and turn this plane off so we don't have to see that anymore. At the end of this tube, I have that trapezoid. I am now going to go ahead and just revolve that trapezoid. And I'm going to add on to this so it's all part of the same feature here. So I'm changing it to add. And the revolving axis is going to be this central line. So now I just created that. Finish that. Now I have that little tapered ending there. Okay, let's finish this off. We've got to hollow out the tube. So we're going to do the shelling feature. The shelling feature is actually over here. And what are we going to shell here? The faces we want to remove. You actually have to click both faces here. We want to remove that face and this face. And that's going to kind of go through here and remove all the material. Right now it's leaving a wall thickness of 0.1. We got to think about that. That's not going to be right. Here's why. The inner and outer holes here, they are 0.1 inches apart, but that 0.1 inches includes the thickness kind of on both ends of it. So the thickness itself is half of 0.1. So we got to change this to half of 0.1, 0.05. And now we have that shelled out all the way through. So this looks pretty good except for the threading. So we need to get the threading on the end here. To do the threading tool, here's the threading feature over here. That's a specialty tool that got added in. The directions to the assignment will show you how to add that. It's called the Thread Creator. So if I look at what we did here initially, you can see we're telling it half of an inch is how long the threads are, and we're going to enter in the pitch to this. And we're going to have to tell it we're following a certain distance here. So let's come back here where we're building this, and I'm going to get my Thread Creator tool, and the pitch is basically going to be, actually first, sorry, let's tell it what face we want to thread. I want to put some threading on this tubing right in here. So I'm going to click on that. And right now it's trying to do it along the whole thing. We'll fix that here in a second. If you look at it, the pitch is so big that it actually is kind of cutting in through the material there. We're going to change that to 1/16 of an inch. The pitch for everything that we're going to do on this the pen project is going to be 1/16. Now that looks a little bit better, but I sure don't want the whole tube there threaded. So that's where instead of fully threaded, we're going to give it a distance. And we're going to tell it that we only want to thread this, there it is, half of an inch of threading. Type in 0.5. And looks like it threaded on the correct end. When I did it before, it put the threading on this end. Then you just play with the arrows over there to start at the opposite end. And there we go. There is our heating tube. All right, good luck with yours.